What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Manny here. We should be live. Another live stream, another Sunday evening. What is up? How are you doing? I hope you're all doing fine. Been thinking quite a bit actually what anecdote am I gonna tell you to introduce this stream, so to say, because usually I always tell something. But life has been really simple over the last couple of days, weeks. It's essentially evolving around feeding the little one, cleaning the little one, uh, entertaining the little one if he wants to be entertained, if she wants to be entertained. So yeah, there's really not so much going on in the here on the in the Manny the Monkey base camp, so to say. But yesterday I had a pretty interesting cardio session. That was what I wanted to talk about. It was super hot, and I decided to make 3 rounds around the house, so to say, on the streets, and it's going a bit up and down. There's this kind of a hilly area here, and I decided to also incorporate some sprints into these rounds. I didn't do a lot of mileage or anything. I wasn't super endurancey or stuff like that, but it was just super exhausting. I could really feel that I haven't done something like this in a long time. So I sprinted, in I don't know, 30 degrees heat without a shirt on or anything. So I sprinted, super sweating like a pig. The sweat was running like crazy, but that felt great because I haven't sweated like this in a long time. Music Scala says hi, Music Scala, what's up? First comment here on the stream, nice. How are you doing? Can you give me some feedback, by the way, as usual, how the sound is and how the video quality is and everything? We're working with the normal setup as usual, so let me know how it sounds. Oh, there is already someone giving feedback in the room. Istvan Ivansko says, Ivankso says, good. That's good to hear. So yeah, Silas Mo Nahan says, sounds great. That's good. Yeah, so let's get this stream going. If you're at it, I always forget this kind of thing, but I should say it in the beginning of the stream, obviously. If you're here, please drop a like on the stream. It helps the stream to grow a bit in ranking for the algorithm and everything. So please drop a like if you're here. That would be very much appreciated. Thanks. That's great. So yeah, just to finish the anecdote that I wanted to start the stream with, I was running these 3 rounds around the house, in total like 20 minutes or something, and incorporating 3 sprints, which is something that's, it makes things a lot more entertaining compared to, running always at the same pace and everything. Sprinting here and there is just amazing, I think, and it's just such a great whole body workout essentially. But I was sweating like a pig, and it was really hard to catch my breath actually after these sprints because it was so hot. And yeah, I'm a bit out of shape when it comes to these kind of cardio things, I think. But yeah, I will try to get back to it. I made myself a plan, and I already pinned it on the refrigerator. I think it says 2 lawn sessions per week and 2 cardio sessions per week and 1 archery session per week. So these are my goals, as long as I'm still pinned into this vicinity here, as long as we are, trying to get in an equilibrium with the little one that we have to, that we have to keep on track here. So yeah, that's basically what's going on in the meantime. How are you doing? Is it going fine? How is the situation with the big C in your area? Give me something to work with. Music Scholar says quality good, little lag, but could be my internet. Yeah, hopefully it's not my internet because we're not alone in this house, and it could well be that someone else is using the internet as well. But I think should work for now, I think. Mike K says hello from the Polish Jura. Oh, nice, Polish Jura. First Bachar Ladder. Have you ever tried, and how effective is it? Bachar Ladder? I have never heard of it. Let me type that into Google really quickly. Bachar Ladder. Bachar Ladder. Okay. Okay, so it's simply a couple of rods, so to say, and you can campus from one rod to the next, or you can use your feet as well. No, I haven't really tried that. My gym doesn't have one. I haven't got one personally, um, so I haven't really tried it. I don't know. Yeah, since you're working with jogs here, right? I mean, these poles, they are basically jogs for your hands. And as I've said previously, I don't think that it's so super necessary to be super strong on jogs if you want to climb strong outdoors. It's nice for lock-off strength, nice for upper body strength probably as well. But in terms of climbing performance, in terms of how much is it really giving you, like, grade per effort wise, I wouldn't say it's probably the best thing. Number two, the second question, that is, how important is confidence in climbing? What are some of the ways to boost it? Thanks, man. Wow. Yeah. Super important. I think confidence plays a lot into the whole grade respect thing. I've been talking about grade respect for a long, long time because I feel that grade respect is something that holds back a lot of climbers the most. And even very talented climbers, okay, climbers which could progress super fast, super quickly if they had zero grade respect, right? If they would just be bold enough to just simply try that project, that next level project, just simply try the hard project of their friend, which the guy is projecting since weeks or something, because maybe they are even stronger than their friend already. Yeah. So it's really the grade respect thing that holds people back in terms of long-term progression a lot, I feel. And obviously, if you have a lot of confidence, if you're very bold, if you say, well, who cares? I'm going to go on to this project now. I don't care if I look bad or look weak on it. Yeah. Let's try it. Let's see if it's possible. This kind of confidence can actually be really helpful when it comes to long-term progression. And let me tell you something. If you have that kind of genetics, if you have the prerequisites, I should say, to have a fast progression, then this behavior will get disproportionately more rewarded than if someone else exhibits this behavior. And guess what happens? The guy will think, hey, it's not even that hard. Okay, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna send this probably. I'm gonna send this possibly in not even 10 tries or anything, something along these lines. And then this happens, and this way the guy learns, okay, it's actually good to have less grade respect. Less grade respect is actually something that is getting rewarded by the climbing grade ladder, okay, because you get more experience with new grades quicker, and thereby you can adapt to these new grades quicker, and you can make more progress in the same time, essentially. Yeah. What are some of the ways to boost it? Yeah, I mean, success events. Success events obviously always boost, confidence. That's always that's not confined to climbing alone. That's good. That goes for everything, right? So if you're very smart with it, you know what you can climb. You know what you can climb quickly. Again, if you haven't experienced a new grade that you try, because it's a new grade, it's the hardest grade that you ever tried, well, then you can't really have the insurance that you're going to climb it, right? But if you know you can climb something, you climb it fast and it works out, you find a new beta, all these success events are going to boost your confidence in the end. And at some point you are more confident than before. But again, obviously confidence can also be crushed really quickly if you overestimate yourself, for example, and you can't get to the top of a route that you actually should grade wise be able to get to the top, and you have to leave a quick draw or something. You have you have to leave a piece of gear on that route, something along these lines. This can crush confidence, and then you get pulled back a little bit, put into place a little bit more. Yeah. But never let yourself put into place by a rock. Okay. Just keep that confidence up, show great respect. This is the way how you progress the fastest. Or let's say this is the way how you find your natural plateau the quickest. Yeah. You could also say it like that. So let me introduce the beverage that I have for this stream that I prepared. This is the world famous honey milk that I've talked about so much in the past. Let's have a sip. Pretty sweet. Just to have some carbs, so that I don't run out of carbs during this stream. Ishan HM says, I guess the obvious question this week is your thoughts on Alex Megos' ascent of Bibliographie. Bibliographie. Second 9C. Holy crap, did I miss something? Bibliographie, Alex Megos. Let me see that. What? Okay. I didn't even notice. To be honest. That's how much I am following climbing news in the meantime. I didn't even notice. Let me see on 88.nu what they wrote. That would be crazy. That would be kind of crazy, man. Bibliographie 9C FA by Alex Megos updated with comments. Okay, read more. Alex Megos has done the FA of Bibliographie 9C in Ceüse. Wow. After around 60 days of projecting. Pooh. The 35-meter route was bought by Ethan Pringle in 2009, and the 26-year-old has tried it actively for 3 years. In the video from 2019, some of the sequences are included. The crux consists of 4 moves in the middle of the route, approximately 8A plus boulder. You have a relatively good hold, and you need to do a big Gaston move to a crimp. From there, you match on top of the crimp as a pinch, do a dead point move into a bad 2-finger pocket. From there, a long move into a crimp. Ideally, you climb the boulder problem without cut loose, but sometimes my feet cut going from the pocket to the crimp. Yeah. Wow, okay. I thought, okay, maybe it was a typo, because of biography, which is in Ceüse as well. But this one is 9A plus, right? So I thought, okay, did he climb the 9A plus now, and all of a sudden it's upgraded to 9C or something, or is the 9C a prolongation or something to the 9A plus, or is it just a completely separate route? Because apparently it is. It says it's 35 meters long, and I think biography alone is already around this length. Okay, that's pretty crazy, man. That's pretty crazy. Wow, I would really like to see Adam Ondra try it, of course. That would be cool if Adam Ondra repeats it. Alex Megos mit neuer High-End-Route. That's insane, man. Schwierigkeit 9C. Second 9C of the world. Yeah, pooh. Wow. I can't believe I didn't notice that even. But yeah, that's pretty amazing news. Obviously, I would like to see Adam Ondra try it and ideally repeat it to confirm the grade, just like I would like to see Alex Megos on Silence in Flathanger to see how it feels, and maybe repeat the route. So that's amazing to hear that there is so much progress going on right now. Cool. 8A plus boulder. 8A plus boulder. That's not even that hard in terms of boulder crux. So there must be some more stuff included for 9C. Okay, for 9C, it's super hard, obviously, but for 9C, it's just the boulder alone cannot be the crux of the route, the whole crux. There's got to be some sort of power endurance section before that to make this boulder problem super hard, in order to give it, in order to get up to 9C, in my opinion. Yeah, so would be interesting to see how the route really, if Adam Ondra goes there and he goes there with his film crew and everything, and they check it out. It would be cool if he breaks down the route, and if we could see, how many moves they have to do before the boulder crux actually comes, how much involved the boulder problem is with the rest of the route, because just the boulder problem alone would not quite add up to 9C, I think. Istvan Ivansko says, thank you for the really informative videos. I learned a lot. Yeah, that's it was a pleasure, man. One question. First question. How long can I use my harness? I sweat a lot like a pig. Yeah, like me when I did my cardio yesterday. Harness is wet every time after climbing from sweat. Yeah, I think that's quite normal, to be honest. And I mean, obviously it's summer now. Probably it's summer where you live now. So should I wash it sometimes? No, I never did it. I never washed my harness. I don't think that it's I think you could wash it with water, but you should definitely not use any soaps or solvents or anything along the like, because you never know how it reacts with the fiber of the plastic. I mean, these harnesses are essentially plastic. Okay, this is a very specially designed plastic fiber, an artificial fiber, which is made to hold these forces very easily, while being very light at the same time. So you don't want to risk ruining that and ruin the elasticity and everything from it, because if you treat plastic the wrong way, it can get kind of cracky, it can get kind of iffy, and you don't want that obviously with your harness. Should I wash it sometimes? I don't think so. I never wash my harnesses. I never did until now. 3 years. Yeah, I would do the same. I wouldn't wash it. To be honest. 3 years is a pretty long duration. So according to the official guidelines, when it comes to climbing the sport, you should exchange any fabric material, and this includes the harness, obviously. You should exchange any fabric material at least after 10 years, even if you haven't even used it. Okay, so let's say you buy a harness, you put it into a box, no sunshine gets there, constant temperature, everything is perfect conditions in there, you never use it. After 10 years, you should throw it away. Okay, so these are these guidelines. If you have occasional use, so if you sometimes use it a little bit here and there, maybe 4 or 5 times a year or something, already the duration, the lifetime of this kind of gear reduces by half to 5 years. Okay, then you should throw it away after 5 years. And even shorter than that, of course, if you have extensive use and intensive use, I should say, if you have intensive use and you can see that it starts getting kind of cracky and it starts getting kind of furry, the fabric of the harness, then of course you should, there is actually a layer of a warning fabric, manufactured into the harness so that you can actually see when you're getting close to the core. Yeah, the core is the carrying thing in the front. Okay, on the front loop. The thing that you can see on the front loop is actually just a protective fabric ring around the core, so that the core cannot get cut or anything. Yeah. And once that is through, you should see a kind of red warning fabric that you are through the outer protective layer now. And at the latest point, then you should actually exchange the harness. You can, by the way, prolong the lifetime of a harness greatly in case if you haven't one of the models which have these plastic protective shells on them, by watching my video on how I demonstrate how I did it. Yeah, because I always use these Arc'teryx harnesses, which are crazily expensive. And I think I climbed very intensively once with one of these harnesses, and I basically rode them through. I rode this particular model through in 2 years, only 2 years. Yeah, and for a harness that is, over 100 euros, I didn't pay 100 euros. I paid 80 euros because it was actually a discount in Arco. But for paying this much for a harness, you want to get the maximum lifetime out of it, obviously. And there's a simple trick how you can do that by simply using a plastic tube, something that you would also use for a garden hose, I think is the name. The thing that you're watering the garden plants with, essentially. If you buy this in the right size, in the right diameter, and the right length, you can actually use this to enforce the front loops of the harness, and this way you can save a lot of time. Yeah. I'm having my harness, which is an Arc'teryx as well, now for over 4 years, I think, maybe even 5 years, close to 5 years, and I haven't had this problem ever since I do this enforcement myself. I made a video about that on the main channel. You can check it out. I think it's called climbing harnesses, how to increase their longevity, safety and everything. So that's the thing with climbing harnesses. Philip R. Let me take a sip from from the milk. Hi Manny. Hi Philip. How many calories do you eat per day average? I have no freaking clue, man. I have to say I have no freaking clue. Especially at the moment, I'm doing a kind of... Oh damn, the light! The light is getting my eyes red already. At the moment, I'm doing kind of a keto style experiment again, and I have absolutely no clue about the calories because it contains quite a bit of meat, for example, and depending on the fat content of the meat, you really have no idea how many calories you really eat. Yeah, I don't weigh my stuff. I don't count any calories anymore anyway because I don't feel that it's in any way, shape, or form necessary. It doesn't really make any difference. What really makes a difference in terms of, whether you gain weight or not is how you feel. Yeah. Do I train? If I train and I do only one meal a day, it doesn't really matter how much I eat. Obviously, I eat until I'm full for this one meal, but I still lose weight, right? So if I want to lose weight, I simply follow this strategy. No need to count calories or anything like that. If I want to gain weight, I simply increase my eating frequency. Yeah? Eat a breakfast, eat lunch, eat dinner. You can train on top of that. You don't even have to train on top of that. You will probably gain weight if you always eat to satiation during these meals. Yeah. Especially if you're adapted to something like one meal a day. I mean, you have to know that the body is very adaptable. If you do one meal a day, the body gets much more out of this one meal that you eat per day in terms of calories compared to if you would have eaten 3 meals a day. Yeah. So the body is kind of calorie sparing that way. This is why, all of these nuances go into the calories in, calories out question. Obviously, the macronutrient ratio matters a lot as well. These things are much more important, I feel, compared to the absolute calorie count. And this is why I don't count calories anymore. I feel that it doesn't matter for performance. It doesn't matter for weight loss or weight gain. What matters much more is eating frequency, eating times, consistency, and stuff like that. Fasting windows and all that. Christoph Buchauer says, what other sports would you recommend to do alongside climbing that would not impact climbing performance too much? Okay, anything that doesn't get you too heavy, okay? This is very important. For example, if I do too much calisthenics, which I like to do actually really much, and I always do it now as well on the lawn, then I get kind of bulky around the shoulders and on the lats and on the upper body in general. I get significantly heavier, maybe 1 kilo of musculature more that I could spare would I not do this kind of sport. Yeah. So anything that gets you not too heavy, really. Running, for example, I think is a pretty nice compensation for climbing. Not too much, okay, because you don't want to beef your legs up with super big glycogen stores, but like 2 times a week for 30 minutes or something, just really minor impact stuff. It's healthier anyway, okay? High-end running is super unhealthy for the joints and everything anyway, so I wouldn't really recommend that sport anyway. Yeah. But if you keep it low impact, it can be a really nice supplement to climbing training because you get some cardio in. It's much more dynamic. 4-foot running, okay? 4-foot running, no, not on the heel, ruins your joints. Yeah, it really gives you much more impact on your ankles, your knees, and your hips. So really, 4-foot running. Swimming is another amazing, it's another amazing sport to add to climbing training because it gives the aerobic component to your whole body, really. And this way it kind of, supposedly, I think it can also get rid of injuries and everything. It gets the oxygens into really all of your joints. And if you do the right swimming technique, yeah, you get a lot of range of motion as well, right? You do big moves with your arms. And this way, kind of contrary to the climbing movements that we have a lot of times where we're locking off something super statically and this way. So really these two, that's what I can think about right off the bat, but I'm sure there's much more. not cycling, for example, because cycling makes your legs too beefy. I have the feeling, yeah, too much glycogen in your legs, and you don't want to carry that around. Not weightlifting, obviously, not strongman and all that kind of stuff for which you have to be super beefy, because that's gonna simply make you too heavy. Average climber says, hello, average climber. I have red pointed a good amount of 7B plus routes and tried several 7Cs, but in them I usually find a move or two I just can't do. Is this lack of strength or not necessarily? Yeah, if you can't do the single move at all, then it's obviously a lack of strength. Yeah. What I would look at is what kind of character do the 7B pluses, you said you have red pointed a good amount of 7B plus routes. What kind of character were these 7B plus routes? Were they endurancy? Well, if they were, then there's a good chance that you simply lack a bit of boulder power. And even on these endurance routes, yeah, which is your maximum in terms of endurance specialization, so to say, getting it into 7Cs, even the single endurance moves become too hard for you, and that's why you essentially fail on all the 7Cs. So check some 7B plus boulder routes out, try to do these, and try to get the boulder power to break through into that next 7C realm, so to say. That would be my advice. I would say it is lack of strength, definitely, if you can't do single moves, one or two. Yeah, if you could do all the moves, but you just can't do the whole sequence, then it just could be that you lack endurance. Ishan HM says Megos talks about it on his Instagram. Let's check it out. I would really like to see. Oh, damn! Now I have to log in. Do I know that? Let's see. I think it works. Let's try. Let's search Alex and Amigos. There we are. Let me check that out. Wait, that looks like Merkenstone. No, but it isn't. It's funny because the area that Alex Megos boulders in quite a lot at the moment, I think, which is in Frankenjura, it just looks completely similar to Merkenstein, which is where I have bouldered a lot of time in the past. So, Alexander Megos, sometimes the odds are against you, but it doesn't mean you don't have a chance. Yesterday evening, on my last day of the trip, I definitely wasn't looking good after messing up the first and only try I wanted to do that day. I fell relatively low on the route, though, so I decided to give it an infamous one last go. Yeah, as usual. I passed the crux in the middle of the route and found myself on the poor rest before the final hard section. Twice prior to this burn, I had fallen on the last hard move of the route, so I wasn't feeling super confident. Nonetheless, I started off after the rest with a full pace and only briefly slowed down to adjust one hold and to get it perfectly. I passed my trouble move seemingly effortlessly, and despite being completely pumped out of my mind, I was able to pull off the sequence on the last four moves. I passed my trouble move. Okay, so there's a trouble move. Yeah? After clipping the anchor, it seemed like all of the days of work I have put into the route were passing in front of my eyes, which approximately 60 climbing days over the past 3 years. Bibliographie has been by far my longest project to date. I know there are many speculations about the grade, and I think grades are very subjective. My personal suggestion for the grade is 9C. Considering the fact that Perfecto Mundo 9B Plus has taken me 16 days of effort, Bibliographie was around 60 days, and more specific training felt a lot harder. Of course, as the first ascensionist, you don't have your perfect beta from the start. You have doubts whether it is possible or not for you. That's some very true words here. if you are completely missing something, or if you are just not in the best shape. It is always harder to grade something without any other opinion. I am very curious about what the future of the route will look like. Yeah, hopefully Adam Ondra gets there and tries it at least so that he can make an educated guess on the grade, right, as well, so they can confirm it or give his own opinion especially. And grateful for other people's opinions, yeah. Independently from the grade, this has been a very valuable experience for me. It marks a personal milestone in my climbing life, one I would not have been able to complete without the support and help of my friends and family. Deep gratitude and thanks to all God. And yes, there is send footage. Nice, okay. Adam Onra, congrats, man. And most of all, I'm glad you suggest 9C. Cool. Yeah, so Adam Ondra is on the notice already, and probably he's gonna check it out himself as well, huh? Yeah, man, that looks pretty epic. I must say, that looks pretty epic. Cool stuff. Really cool stuff. Looking forward to Adam Onra's footage, as I said, and I'm looking forward to Alex Megos' footage as well. Would be really interesting. Small Back Guy. Hey, Manny. Hast du irgendwelche Tipps, um schnell wieder starke Haut zu bekommen? Was hältst du von Training-Apps für Hangboards wie Lizard Edge oder der Beastmaker App? So the question is, are there any tips to get super strong, super thick skin very quickly? And what do I think about training apps for hangboarding like Lizard Edge or the Beastmaker app? I personally think if you want to have great skin, you do outdoor bouldering, okay? Outdoor bouldering is the best skin formation. I mean, you can ruin your skin really quickly as well, obviously, but outdoor bouldering will get you skin, and it will get you skin at the very tip of your fingertip, okay, where you really need it. Unlike sport climbing, which is often very jaggy, which is often very huge holes, then you get skin here, yeah, on the knuckles of your fingers. But you want the skin really on your fingertips, yeah, so that you can bite yourself into those small tiny edges, these small tiny pockets, yeah, whatever you climb on. So this is what I would say as maybe a special tip. And once the skin is sore, you want to, let's say you want to increase recovery, okay, then you can try something like raw animal fats, yeah. The raw animal fats, they are amazing for skin proliferation, you know, for making new layers of skin. In my experience, the raw animal fats are unbeaten, yeah, in terms of price as well as in terms of effect, yeah. What do you think about training apps? I don't know any training apps. I have never used any training apps before. Depends. Yeah, depends. Maybe they have some good programs. Who knows? Maybe they have some good programs. Hopefully, they are customizable to a very large degree to your personal needs, because this is something that is very important when it comes to hangboard training. I think have something that is personalized towards you, towards your weaknesses. Yeah, because if your strength is max hangs and you're gonna only attack max hangs, then on the hangboard again, it doesn't maybe doesn't do as much for you as something like repeaters could do for you. Yeah, then you get into the power endurance. So hopefully it's personalized. If it is, then go for it. Could be good stuff. So Christopher Buchauer asks, what is your recommendation for Quickdraws for all-round use? I really like the Petzl Spirit Quickdraws. Simple as that. The big ones, you know, the thick ones, because they are pretty light. I always get laughed at when I talk about the weight of Quickdraws, but the weight of Quickdraws really matters, okay? If you're on-sighting and you're carrying like 15 draws with you on a 30-meter route or something, then differences in weight can amount up to, I don't know, a few hundred grams even, okay? And a few hundred grams is something that you definitely notice. So you want to have something that is light, ideally, but you also want to have something that is decently grabbable. Yeah? If you have some of these super thin, slacky draws, they are really unpractical if you sometimes have to, you know, if you're on a really limit move and you just barely are able to get that draw in, and then you have to grab the draw and get your rope in. This is possible with the spirits because they are reasonably thick. If you have something that's super thin, then yeah, you can forget that, yeah. Can be really annoying, actually. So yeah, the spirits is something, this draw that I really like and that I personally use as well. Ishan HM again asks, which discipline do you think is worse to be short, lead or bouldering? That's a good question, man. Mm. So when we talk about competition climbing, when we look at this question, talking about competition climbing, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't really matter if you are tall or short for competitions, because ideally the route setters should set all problems equally, so that tall and short climbers can do them. That for tall and short climbers are equally hard. This is the theory, right? This is very hard to do, and this is in fact the number one challenge of becoming a high-end route setter. It's not like, oh, what can I do for crazy problems, that problems look as crazy as possible so that the audience is as amazed as possible? No, the challenge is to make a problem that is pretty cool and pretty hard, but equally hard for all different body types. Yeah. So much about that. When it comes to outdoor rock climbing, I would say for bouldering, it's worse to be short compared to route climbing. Usually on route climbing, you can find the one or the other trick to cheat your way around the big dynamic morpho beta. Yeah. With bouldering, this is much less often the case, I have the feeling. And if you look at boulder guides, you will very often find, okay, this is a bit harder for shorties, this is a bit harder for shorties, a bit harder for shorties. So these things really matter when it comes to bouldering. Yeah, so much so that they actually write it down in certain bouldering guides. Of course, you can always say, well, then you just have to be much more selective with your problem choice, right? You can always find something that suits you, that suits also the short climber. Yeah, for me, the best climber is the one that can do a wider range of problems and can do all of them, right? Regardless of their style. So much about that. I think for bouldering, if you are short, you must be more selective compared to lead climbing. There you at some point have to be selective as well, but less much so compared to bouldering. Ishvan Ivansko, yoga. Yeah, cool. Yoga. Uh, Never did it, but supposedly it's amazing for climbing, especially for flexibility. I have my own flexibility routine, so I feel I don't need it as much. J-Head. Hi, Manny. What's better in your opinion? Hanging on bigger edge plus heavy weight, or small edge plus no weight? Small edge plus no weight. The smaller the edge, the better. Is there any difference between those for fingers, or one ends up working in a similar way? Don't really get that last question. What I would say is, if you are doing small edges, okay, very small edges, what happens is it's really mimicking the problems that you get outdoors. Because if you're outdoor climbing on rock, most often the problem is simply, okay, you've got a super crappy hold to hold on, and you're just not strong enough, right? You cannot bring enough climbing, your holding force to the fingertips. And this is something that you learn if you're using small edges at home as well when training, right? And additionally, you gain the skin on your fingertips, which is something that is super important, which we talked about before. Yeah, skin on the fingertips to be able to crank down those super small holds. Is there any difference between those for fingers, or one ends up working in a different way? You mean maybe? Yeah, as I said, there is the small edges work a bit in a different way, because they attach the holding force onto a completely different spot compared to the bigger edges. Yeah, so the smaller your edge can be, the better for your outdoor rock climbing performance. Not necessarily for indoor, because on indoor we often have the crux is often just big volumey stuff, yeah, compression stuff, dynamic moves, coordination. For this, it's not so much important that you can crank down a super small edge, right? This is much more outdoor climbing related. Music Scala with another interesting question there. Music Scholar says, do you think moving out of the big city and to the land side, the countryside, improves mental health? I would say, yeah. I would say yes. Some things which might be important for mental health, I think you can be pretty mentally healthy in a big city as well. Yeah, to be honest with you. You just have to grind a bit more. You just have to grind a bit more. There is a reason why it's called a city warrior and not a countryside warrior, right? On the countryside, things are usually more chill than in a big city. Yeah. Despite that, you can be mentally healthy in a big city as well. I would have considered myself mentally healthy back then when I was living in a big city as well. Yeah. But the thing is, for example, sleep. It's much more quiet on the countryside. It's much darker. In the city, it's always bright. There's always lights on. There's always cars cruising around. Yeah. So the intensity of your sleep is definitely on another level on the countryside, I have the feeling. And sleep is very important for overall recovery, for mental health and whatnot. Yeah. There's much more nature around you on the countryside. Usually, I mean, what kind of countryside is it where there's less nature than in a big city? Yeah, usually in a big city you have a lot of concrete. Things are very unnatural. Yeah, there's a lot of gray, not enough green. You want to have green. You want to be able to look into the distance at some point. Yeah. In a city, you never look further, or usually you never look further than 20, 30, 50 meters, because then the next block comes, the next big house. So all these things, they are not ideal for health in general, and therefore probably also not for mental health. Another thing that is interesting when it comes to big cities, which comes to my mind now, although you are surrounded by so many people, right? You're in this this complex, so many houses, so many people, really high population density. You can feel super alone in a city, yeah, and really super alone. And this is because somehow I have the feeling the over availableness, so to say, the abundance of humans, humanity, the abundance of humanity, so to say, around you that you have here, it kind of oversaturates these kind of instincts which we need for socialization, right? I mean, the human is probably geared towards a tribe size of maybe 50 people, maybe 100 people when it comes really high, okay, when it gets really high, but not much more than that. Anything that's more than that is kind of overstimulating this feeling, and then becomes, again, as so much, as with so many things, once, like with vitamins, right? The excess often has similar symptoms than the absence of a vitamin. Yeah, so the lack and the overabundance have the same symptoms, and it's kind of the same with this social thing in big cities, because there's so many humans around you. You kind of get this feeling that you're not connected to any one of these. Yeah. I don't know how this is actually in cities that have more of a, because you have to realize in the big city that I was living in, it was is a standard big Western city, Vienna. There is huge multiculturalism, okay, and it's just coming so that with huge multiculturalism, you cannot identify with a lot of people that you see on the everyday streets anymore. And thereby this kind of feeling of loneliness, and everybody fights for himself. Everybody is the city warrior for himself, so to say. And everybody else is seen as competition. Yeah, they are not really seen as friends or people to hang out with, or like companions, yeah, colleagues. They are much more seen like competition, yeah. And even in universities, you have the same phenomenon, yeah, with people that you're working with in the same class. Maybe you have these colleagues, but nevertheless, they are always viewed as competition rather than mates. Yeah, this kind of this big city vibe. anyway, what my point is, you kind of can't. Although there are so many people, you feel more lonely in a city. I have the feeling. On the countryside, although there's much less people, you have your neighbors. You have your maybe 3, 4, 5 neighbors which are living in the vicinity, close to you, relatively close to you. That is not in the same house, but yeah, let's say 200 meters away or something. Yeah. So and despite that, they feel much closer to you because you know them a lot better. They are the only ones around, right? So you meet them from time to time. You say hi on the footpath and everything. So yeah, this is kind of the mental thing when it comes to the social aspect of big cities. It's a pretty interesting topic, actually. It's pretty interesting what it does with your psyche, I think, and your social behavior. Of course, you can have your groups and your meetings and your friends and everything in a big city as well. Yeah, it doesn't really go against that. But in terms of how it feels if you're on alone in the subway, riding the subway, right? That's what it feels like. I have the feeling. Let me know how you think about it. What do you think about it? I'm pretty sure that a lot of people on the chat here live in big cities or not, because climbing population usually more gym oriented, usually in a big city, right? Because climbing gyms are really only in big cities at the moment yet. They expand more and more, but yeah. Interesting question. Istvan Ivansko says, most important tips for busy people. I spend 55 hours per week at work. That's a lot, man. You should really think about that. Just go climbing as much as I can, or sometimes finger training instead. Have been climbing for 3 years now, level 7A to 7B. What I always say is, you have to do what you want to get better at, okay? So if you want to get better at outdoor rock climbing, get as much outdoor rock climbing in as you possibly can. This is how the pros do it, yeah? The pros don't do it any different. The pros do not hangboard all the time. This is a myth, yeah? The pros are strong because they have the privilege that they can be on the outdoors all the time, yeah? Or at least almost all the time. And thereby they also do both. They do outdoor bouldering and outdoor sport climbing, which when it fuses together creates amazing results. Okay, I've talked about this before. For busy people, I always tell them, get as much outdoor rock climbing in as possible. First of all, I know with 55 hours per week at work, that's gonna be a pretty tough challenge to accomplish, I must say. But probably you're a weekend warrior, and this means you have to go out on the weekends. Yeah, use your weekends, especially if there's good weather. If weather kills your plans, then yeah, you go to the gym. You have no other choice, right? But if you have good weather, and maybe sometimes you can even do something if you have one shorter day at work, whether that exists in a 55 hour per week. Okay, I don't know, but if you have a shorter day at work, then use it and get out in the evening. Yeah, get these 3, 4, 5 hours maybe of climbing in, and do them efficiently. Yeah, keep the attempts short. Get an efficient climbing partner, with whom you can make a bit of mileage during that time. Training efficiency becomes really, really important as soon as you have less time available, obviously. So, and on the weekdays when you have to train, what I would do, yeah, the next thing I do is I get myself a hangboard at work. I see if that's possible. Does your boss allow that? Have a hangboard at work, so that at least in the empty times, and let's be honest, we all have empty times at work, don't we? Huh? I only know a couple of people who work in office jobs, and the empty times that they have at their office jobs are crazy. Okay, it's often at least half of the time in total. Yeah, so these people are really just sitting there to sit away their time, so that at the end of the month they get their money. Yeah, at least 50% of the. Yeah, it's not everybody like that, obviously, but some people I know where it is the case. So then I would get instantly a hangboard at work, because then I can at least make use of my empty time. And if every day I can spare like 1-2 hours, then I can theoretically get the hangboard session in every day, at work. Maybe you have a lunch break or something like that. Probably you do, because that's I think mandatory in most civilized nations at the moment. But then you can do something with your time at work in terms of climbing. Maybe you can also get rings, maybe you can get parallettes, who knows? Then you can do a little bit of a fitness session during your workday. But honestly, spend as much time as possible at what you want to get better at, which in your case is probably rock climbing. Then go out on the weekends by all means, make use of that, and train during the week with something that is resembling climbing as much as possible, which is go to the climbing gym or train on the hangboard with super small holds so you get better at that. Or with any other holds for that matter that you just need at the moment. Small Back Guy says, I do yoga, calisthenics, and climbing. It works great together for me. I heard a lot of good stories combining yoga with climbing. That's why I wrote yoga exclamation mark before. Now I get it. For me, the calisthenics is only the thing that makes me a little bit heavier. But in terms of body strength and core, calisthenics is amazing also for climbing. Javier Paraga asks, your current climbing shoe, any model you want to try? My current climbing shoe is the Scarpa Instinct VS. I've used this a lot during the recent Greece trip, and I gotta say it's amazing. I made a climbing shoe review about that one as well. Any model you want to try, I would really like to try some models from Unparallel, the brand Unparallel. I think it's a US brand. I'm not sure if they ship to Europe though. So I've heard bad stuff about them not shipping to Europe. That would mean I will have a tough time trying them. But apparently they are resembling the 510, the old 510 models, which I loved a lot. These ones I would like to try. Average Climber says, thanks for the previous answer. What a pleasure. All routes are short and bouldery. Both the 7B pluses I've done and the 7Cs I've tried. Okay, interesting. Well, then you just have to get more power. Then maybe you have reached your limit in terms of boulder max strength simply. And you're gonna plateau out here unless you elevate that power. Tip here, pro tip: try some outdoor bouldering. Okay, this is super useful for the short bouldery stuff on rope, obviously, because it resembles it quite well. Average Climber again, another question: do you usually climb with people your level? Can you regularly try your projects with others, or are you usually alone, quote unquote? Wow, that's a good question. And unfortunately, I have to say I am usually alone, quote unquote. I hardly ever climbed with people that were my strength or stronger, which is probably something that I should have done more in my climbing career, but somehow I never got to it. When in the first time when I got a bit stronger, when I got seriously strong, let's call it like that, in this old bouldering gym back in Vienna, I trained with a guy who was also extremely strong, and I think at this point he's one of the strongest boulderers in the whole area. And he was actually somebody that I occasionally trained with who was stronger than me, but not on a regular basis. It would be cool to have kind of fixed times to train together and to motivate to motivate each other and everything. Beyond a certain level, it gets kind of hard to find these people to train regularly with, and which are even stronger than you. But you can always search them, but you also don't want to select climbing friends that way, right? If you meet someone who's really cool, regardless of what grade they climb, you just want to climb with them together and have a great time. Well, then you just simply do that. You don't really consider, but he's weaker than me, so I don't get as much progress as I could have if I would climb with someone who's stronger than me. That's not really how I evaluate these things. I would rather have a great time and climb with someone who's weaker than me. And as I said, beyond a certain level, 95% of all climbers are just simply a bit weaker than you. Okay, that's just the way it is. If you have fought yourself through into this into the really upper section of the Great Ladder, if you want to call it like that, then your selection can get really limited. But what you can do is you can go to a really high-end area, like for example Ciurana. There is always really strong people in Ciurana, yeah? Almost all time of the year. Probably a little bit more in the winter than in the summer, but you can meet people there who are super strong and then get in contact with them. You can go there alone, yeah, if you don't have a friend that you want to go with there, which is something that I usually have, right? I don't start my climbing trips alone usually I have someone to travel with. Not in the case with the recent Norway trip, but also on the Norway trip, I pretty much only met people who were at most my level and not really significantly stronger than me. Again, beyond a certain level, as I said, it's getting kind of hard. But I don't know. I don't really care about that so much that I have to say, yeah, I must get better because, that's why I need someone who's stronger than me, as I said. I'd rather have a good time. Javier Paraga says, any recovery meal after training? Something that contains fats, carbs, and proteins. Okay, obviously you want to have the proteins to build up your musculature again. You want to have some carbs to restore those glycogen stores. And you can have some fats, okay? Why not? Because it's after your workout. As I said previously, you shouldn't eat too much fats before workout because fats, in my opinion, affect the workout to the negative. You get a bit slower, you get a bit more sluggish, and you don't want that, obviously. Yeah. So really everything can count there. Maxim, what's up? Hi, Manny. I hope you're doing great. Hi, Maxim. How are you doing? I hope you're doing great as well. Tune in a little late, so this question might already have been asked. Here are some questions. Interested in your thoughts. Okay, let's see. What are your thoughts on Alex Megos sending a potential 9C? Yeah, we've talked about that already. It would be cool if Adam Ondra goes there. He already commented on his Instagram post, so probably he's quite interested in that as well. I feel like Adam Ondra put way more effort in silence. Maybe this means that Ondra is closer to his limit. Or could silence be 9C+? I don't think so. I think silence is, for Ondra, silence is 9C. I mean, Ondra is also a pretty tough grader. So who knows? Also, Ondra, to my knowledge, didn't send Perfecto Mundo, right? Am I correct? So the two guys, Alex Megos and Adam Ondra, they're kind of working on different ends on the upper end of the Great Ladder, so to say. Yeah, they are not working on the same stuff, unfortunately. But he says, Alex Megos, it took him 60 days. 60 days to send this route, and he took only 16 days to send Perfecto Mundo, which is a confirmed 9D+. So for him, grading it 9C is very obvious and quite justified. Yeah, I would do that as well in his position. Maybe Alex Megos just did a hard 9D+. Who knows? I don't think so. If it takes him 60 days, and again, 16 days only on the 9D+ Perfecto Mundo, I guess it's hard to tell since at this level you have to climb in your style. That's true. What do you think Alex Megos' limit could be? Alex is super strong. Chicken legs, huge arms, stick figure mode, man. Super huge finger strength. So his potential is crazy. The only thing that he has is his climbing style. Yeah, he must climb. If he would have the aggressive climbing style of Adam Ondra, he could probably already be on another level. But of course, with great strength comes great options, to climb that way. He can afford to climb this slowly. He can afford to climb this controlled to take less dynamic risks in a way, because he has the power. Yeah, climbing dynamically and with flow saves power, which is something that Adam Ondra has to do. Alex Megos is just crazy strong. Yeah, so, and I don't think honestly that Adam Ondra can pull the numbers that Alex can pull on the Beastmaker, talking about finger strength divided by body weight. Yeah, finger strength to body weight ratio. So in terms of and I think this is a quite popular opinion, to be honest, but in terms of climbing skill, yeah, and experience and flow and everything, technique, if there is even something like this at this level, yeah, where you can only set yourself apart at this level by more finger strength divided by body weight. Yeah, the technique is maxed out at 9A. Actually, I think it's already maxed out at 8A. Yeah, but who knows? But yeah, in terms of climbing skill, I would give Ondra the edge. In terms of power, I would give Alex the edge. And we will see what's more important in the end, yeah, where they end up. And I wouldn't be surprised if power actually gets the edge in the end. At least power divided by body weight. Yeah, finger strength divided by body weight, to be more exact. Any thoughts are nice. Have a great day. Cheers from Belgium. Yeah, these are my thoughts. Had to split it up in 4 messages because there is a limit of 200 characters. Yeah, no problem. Gustafer says, guys, if you're here on the stream and you are currently live here on the chat, maybe drop a like on the stream down there. I would very much appreciate that, because it helps the stream to get a little bit ranked higher in the algorithms and everything. And yeah, then we can help grow the channel a little bit. Don't forget, we have a big goal here. We have big goals here. We want to get to 1,000 subscribers, and we want to get to 4,000 hours of public watch time. I think in the meantime, the channel has close to 500 hours of public watch time. So it's crazy. The 4,000 hours of public watch time milestone is, I think, the bigger milestone compared to the 1,000 subscribers. Because there we are already at halfway, right, around. But yeah, we will see. So thanks for dropping a like. That's appreciated, my friends. Let's go on. Gustafer, why don't you eat 5 meals a day like bodybuilders? More protein, muscle synthesis means faster recovery, right? Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think that 5 meals a day is healthy. Maybe this is something that bodybuilders have to do. Probably they have to, because as a bodybuilder, you want to grow. Yeah, you want to be big, you want to grow. And what do you need to grow? Insulin. Yeah, insulin, number one growth hormone in the body, alongside with HGH and all that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff, which they also, supplement in a very drastic way, probably some of them. So yeah, if you want to have your insulin high all the time, if you want to grow as much as possible all the time, you have to increase your eating frequency. That means more meals per day, and probably also in terms of macronutrients, all the macronutrients, right? You want to have proteins, carbs, and fats, because this is what raises insulin the most. Is that really healthy? Probably not. Yeah, I would argue that keeping insulin comparatively low over, in total during your lifetime, essentially it's the following question that you have to ask yourself: how low can you get your insulin but still be sustainable? Yeah, still be sustainable, not lose any weight. So the diet that keeps insulin the lowest on average but still prevents weight loss is probably the healthiest outcome diet on the long term, because you simply save cell divisions, and cell divisions is essentially what gets you closer to death. Okay, we have a certain number of cell divisions available, and recovery means, of course, cell division. Growing means cell division. If you signal your body unnecessarily that it should grow, you use up some of your nutrients, you use up some of your enzymes, you use up all of that good stuff, yeah, some DNA, and you probably invest a little bit of your lifetime into that process. You invest a little bit of your health into that process, yeah. So really the diet that can keep insulin relatively low and still prevents weight loss. Yeah, this is the diet that's gonna lead to the greatest longevity probably. But that's just my 2 cents. Yeah, that's what I would assume. More protein means faster recovery, right? But if you want to have really fast recovery, in my opinion, don't focus so much on the protein. I am now, for example, on a relatively high protein diet, and I feel that my recovery is quite a bit slower than compared to back in the day when I was running on a high carb vegan diet. Yeah, on a high carb vegan diet, my recovery was pretty fast, I must say. This is one amazing thing of the high carb vegan lifestyle. You get fueled up quite quickly again. Yeah, you stash that glycogen like crazy. You have all that excess energy available, and you kind of heal very quickly that way. And that despite the protein count is quite low. Yeah. But is it healthy? That's the question. Is it healthy? Are you not just simply keeping your body at a super high turnover rate with all those carbs all the time, all that high insulin all the time from the carbs? Although if you're really high carb and low fat and low protein, you don't have that much insulin because you're super insulin sensitive at the same time, and then you don't need to secrete as much insulin. But anyway, you have all these carbs, all this energy, and all these cell divisions and everything. Is it really the best for health? I know for a fact that for a number of things, it's not the best in terms of health. It's not the best in terms of tooth health, in terms of skin health, in terms of mental health, and all that kind of stuff. But also in terms of longevity, probably not the most efficient, not the smartest approach. Yeah, pretty interesting topic actually. David Camacho says, "Hey Manny, what's up, David? You've talked a few times about privilege in climbing. Regarding pro climbers, I assume, but don't you think all of us, quote unquote, are kind of privileged in this regard? We know that depending on our time, responsibilities, motivation, genetics, and other factors, we can pursue some personal goals. But what do you think we can do to improve the climbing community and make it more inclusive and less about ourselves? I have my own ideas, but I would like to know your thoughts about this. Sorry for the long text. No problem. I got it." The sad fact is, I must say, that climbing is a pretty solo sport. It's pretty egotistic, focused sport. Yeah, it's a lot about battling yourself. It's a lot about, I mean, there is no other enemy than yourself, really. There's the rock. Yeah, there's the rock, but the rock is not really. It's not like tennis, yeah, where at least your enemy is another human being. You could say that in competition climbing, well, there is at least other human beings and you're fighting together against this piece of plastic. But that's not really the case either. Yeah, you're fighting against the plastic on your own. You're really the solo warrior. I have the feeling with climbing a lot of times. It's just in the nature of the sport. If you wanted to have more of a community feeling, then maybe do something like soccer, or where you have a group of people trying to achieve a goal together. Yeah, or something that takes away the egotisticness of climbing a little bit is when you train in a national group, for example, or a national team, I should say. Yeah, these people, they already realize something, and that is that if you train together, if you train as a group, you get much better results because you can motivate yourself, you can hang out in a group, you can have fun together, and this way you kind of training becomes more fun, and it becomes more of an inclusive thing, as you call it, compared to this always solo fighting and doing all the things in solo mode, essentially. So yeah, in that way, climbing is just especially rock climbing, yeah, especially outdoor rock climbing, I must say, it's kind of an egotistic solo journey, really. Not so much inclusion there. You always have a climbing partner, yeah, but it's already really rare that two climbing partners attack the same problem. Yeah, because usually one climbing partner is a bit stronger, the other is a bit weaker, and then they have different projects. And then again, you're on your own, right, on the project versus the project. And you can't, I mean, your climbing partner can push you, they can, say good things, but in the end, it's always yourself struggling against the rock. And the rock is silent. The rock doesn't give in. You can't really discuss with rock. Yeah, it's just in that way probably also a good therapy for certain people, for certain personality types, I would say. I must say I really like this aspect. And I really liked it when I bouldered back in the day in Merkenstein, which was really the first outdoor bouldering area that I attacked. Up until this point, I was almost solely a outdoor route climber. And I was there with my bouldering mattress in this forest, completely alone. And there, for the first time, I learned that, wow, this is actually pretty awesome. Now I have something. Now I have the option to outdoor rock climb and be completely on my own. Yeah. And not even have a climbing partner with me. So I'm kind of strange like that. Okay. I enjoy this quite a lot. And again, what I said about the city warrior thing before, yeah, I was also this kind of type of city warrior. Back in the day, I enjoyed being alone. Yeah, I had this lonely wolf feeling. Now I have the feeling, looking back at it, maybe I was a little bit mentally challenged because of this vegan diet thing. Yeah, because fascinatingly enough, the vegan diet promotes loneliness. Yeah, it sets you up for loneliness, I should say. You get into this kind of monk attitude that you I don't know, how should I say, that you're so spiritual, you're so alone, you're just this lonesome warrior, and nobody understands you, nobody can come close to you, can become emotionally attached to you or something like that. And that's really interesting how diet affects this kind of behavior. Because now that I'm much more on the other side of the spectrum when it comes to nutrition, I have the feeling that I need the social interaction a bit more. Still, I'm not a crazy social guy. Okay, I can live perfectly well without social interactions as well. But to be completely alone, as I was back then, without a partner, without a family, all this kind of stuff that I have now relatively close to me, because I have the feeling I want it, I need it. It's also quite healthy, yeah, that way. I wouldn't want to be in that place anymore. But back then, when I was in that place, I found it cool. I found it awesome, yeah, as I said. So yeah, rock climbing especially, is kind of a lonely sport. It's a bit of a lone wolf sport. If you want to have another impression of the sport, then you should go into training groups, like when they train for World Cups, when they train for the nationals and everything. There's usually groups, and there you get this kind of group feeling. Yeah. You said at the beginning, regarding to pro climbers, I assume, but don't you think that all of us are kind of privileged in this regard? Not so really, because most of us, quote unquote, have regular jobs, have family, have responsibilities, right? So I think that the pros, I mean, every time I say pros, you have to be aware that there is not really a lot of pros in terms of climbing out there. Okay, a pro for me is someone who just can climb and make a living by doing that, without doing any videos about it, without doing any photos about it, without giving coaching lessons and anything. All these people line up for you by themselves and give you money for so that they can photograph you. And sponsors on top of that give you money as well, so that their sponsor logo can appear on these photographs. And this is how you earn a living. Yeah, you really only do climbing. Because a lot of people think that I am a pro climber because I earn money with climbing, but that's not true. I earn money with making videos about climbing. Yeah, if I would only climb, I would be done. Okay, I couldn't make a living whatsoever. So I'm not a pro climber. I'm a professional video maker, if anything. Yeah. So just as you can get an impression what I mean when I say pro. So these people can actually be counted on two hands, I think. The people that just have to go out there and touch some rock, and people line up to, make videos about them, make photos about them, and give them money for that. Yeah. You have to be extremely strong, top of the notch, and even then it's hard. Yeah. And even the top of the notch in climbing, as you guys know, they still have YouTube channels. They still have social media outlets to be able to promote themselves, to earn a little bit of additional income so that they can make it, okay? So that they can keep up their lifestyle. You won't see Roger Federer have a YouTube channel or something like that, yeah? Because he doesn't need to have one. He doesn't need to have one. He can earn enough salary with one tennis tournament, yeah? There is just not enough money in climbing yet to do that. So this is why this is the case, essentially. So in that regard, pros are pretty privileged because they can spend all that time outdoors, which is what really gets you there to begin with. Yeah, which is what really gets you strong, the strongest that you can be at least. Whereas climbing on plastic, training on the hangboard, all this kind of stuff. If you want to go on the outdoors, you have to climb outdoors. Yeah, that's what counts 100%. Everything else only tries to come close to that, but it can never be at 100%. Yeah. Istvan Ivansko. Haha, hangboards in the operating rooms. I'm an anesthetist. Yeah, man, for those kind of people, it's already hard because you have to wash your hands all the time, huh? That's super annoying. But yeah, in the lunch break, good idea with a mobile hangboard. I will try, thanks. I do sometimes yoga in the lunch break. Yeah, that's a good start. Yeah, I mean, that's problematic. If you're a surgeon or an anesthetist, all these kind of people, they have to wash their hands so much that I do a lot of training regimens for people, and these people told me that one of the most annoying factors is that washing their hands permanently with soap, and then even if they don't wash it, they are stuck in these plastic gloves all the time where they get moist, and this kind of really ruins with time your climbing skin. Yeah. So yeah, that's an additional challenge here, man. I feel you. Music Scala. I always lived in big cities, but whenever I drive through the German Schwarzwald, I feel amazing. I can understand, yeah. But I would miss the comfort from the city. What kind of comfort do you have in the city that you couldn't have on the countryside? And that's what I'm asking you now. If you're still there. Damn, my honey milk is already starting to get empty. Yeah. And this light, man, really somehow attacks my eyes. I don't know. Or am I just a little bit tired already? Who knows? I'm already a bit on the more tired side, I have to say, today. So maybe we keep it a little shorter. Cameron Henley says, what do you think makes someone lean towards sport climbing or bouldering? I've always loved bouldering more, but have access to sport climbing more often. And you obviously prefer sport climbing. Yes, I do. I'm curious to know why you think that is. I think, how do I say it? I did both, okay? I did a lot of bouldering, especially in a very confined time. There was a time where I did almost exclusively bouldering because I had the feeling, wow, it does so much good for my power. And it did super much for my power. And what I observed comparing this experience with my sport climbing experience is that I feel that bouldering without offending anyone here or trying to make it look bad or anything, but I would say sport climbing is a bit the more brainier sport. Okay, it's the brainier sport of the two, and bouldering is just the more brutal sport of the two. Okay, it's just the more physical sport of the two. You can There's less tricks. There's uh there's more often morphological problems, for example, where you just have to have the reach. Yeah, otherwise you can go and search the next problem. You don't even have to try it. Yeah. uh, in that way, I feel that sport climbing is a bit the more brainier sport, because you have to think about more stuff. You have to do more moves. You have to strategize a bit more. You have to find clipping positions. You have to think about which clips you can skip. You have to develop a shaking strategy for your project. You have to there's so many examples. Yeah, you have to develop a breathing pattern, all that kind of thing. There is more room simply for strategizing when it comes to sport climbing. And with bouldering, since there's so much less moves, there is less room for strategizing. There is less room for tricks. Okay, tricks with your head. It's much more direct, much more brutal that way, much more. And this is the beauty of it as well. Yeah, it's just raw. It's raw, brutal power. And this is what you get when you do a lot of bouldering. You get this raw, brutal power. And amazingly, if you watch really high-end boulderers on routes, you can see how they lack this kind of approach. Where I would think, dude, you've got so much more power than I have because you're bouldering all the time, but still you're struggling there. Yeah, obviously they have less endurance, right? Endurance is another factor that you only get with sport climbing, or most of the time only get with sport climbing. But yeah, just a way how to hold holds efficiently so that you don't lose so much energy and everything. Boulderers really tend to crank down even good edges. Okay, they full crimp them because they are just simply so used to it that only the full crimp is a good holding type, because they always full crimp when they boulder outdoors because the edges are so small, so it makes sense, right? Well, on routes you can strategize. Maybe you don't need to full crimp those holes. Yeah, maybe you can save that for the actual crux of the route and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, so there's much more room for strategizing when it comes to sport climbing. This is why I feel that sport climbing is a bit of the brainier sport. You can trick a bit more, and bouldering is just a much more direct, brutal version of the sport, which has its beauty as well. Yeah, and obviously, depending on what kind of type you are, you get pulled towards one more compared to the other. Yeah. If you're just a super strong dude, yeah, and you have big arms, you have big reach, you can do those morpho moves, you're probably well advised to do some bouldering. Yeah. If you are the tiny, fragile dude who is who is very quick, who has a lot of flow, who figures technique out quickly, who figures efficient sequences out very quickly, well, then you are probably advised to be a more sport climber kind of guy. Yeah, this is how I see it. David Camacho says, Pete Whitaker from White Boys just tried the crux on silence, the crack, and for him, a master of crack climbing, the crux is not as hard as it was for Ondra. Climbing is very relative. Interesting, I didn't know that. So there's actually someone out there who already tried silence. I actually know Pete Whitaker, yeah, from the White Boys. I think I have him on my radar. It's interesting. Yeah, maybe it's not that hard. Maybe silence was only so hard for Ondra. Who knows? Yeah, because of his body type, or because he was not so experienced with crack climbing, or who knows? Yeah, would be amazing to see someone else try it. But I think there is, even apart from this crack climbing crux, which is the main crux, I think, of the route, this crack boulder. But apart from that, the route is also pretty damn tough, as far as I remember. she waking up? Maybe. She had a pretty the little girl. Okay, she had a pretty big meal before we started the stream. So at the beginning of the stream, she was kind of sedated, and this is why. Yeah, they are in the same room here actually, but we don't hear a lot of the baby because she's actually quite tired and sleeping. But if we talk about it too much now, she's probably gonna wake up, and then we're gonna hear some sounds. Who knows? Let's see. Istvan Ivansko says, to the topic that climbing is a lonely sport, I often climb alone, rope soloing and top rope. Yeah, wow, then it's a pretty lonely sport. It's efficient training, and I enjoy a lot to be on my own, alone with the rock. Yeah. Same story here, man. I just enjoy it a lot. I enjoyed the outdoor bouldering alone a lot. It even made a significant difference to me than compared to climbing with a climbing partner on rope. Because, if you have a climbing partner on rope, you already have someone to take into account for your plans, right? If you want to go outdoors, then you have to talk, you have to figure out a time where both of you have free time. And if you can do it completely alone, then you kind of free like that. And that feels awesome, I think, to be free to just go out in nature and enjoy your sport at your own pace, as long as you like, right? Because you don't share a car or something, you can do as long as you like. And I had such amazing sessions like this, man. I don't know, I remember one session in the woods of Merkenstein, I think. I got there, it was sunny, it was hot, and I spent the first hour there bouldering. I couldn't really get into the flow. I had the feeling I was quite heavy. It was kind of steamy and hot in the forest, and I couldn't get into the flow really. And what I did was, it's a funny story actually. I took my crash pad, I laid it down on the ground, laid myself onto it. Okay, I just went to a little nap essentially. Okay, half an hour later, I'm waking up, and this big thunderstorm is cruising through the forest. Okay, on top of the forest. Yeah, it's cruising over the forest essentially, and huge rainfalls coming down. And it was just so amazing to be in this forest with this thunderstorm. I took the mattress under a rock, and I think I remember running around. Yeah, actually, I think I put my shorts off and everything. I was completely naked. There was nobody there anyway. Yeah, who cares? So I was jumping around in this forest completely naked with the thunderstorm coming down in the rain, and it was so warm because it was this kind of summer thunderstorm, and all the leaves and everything was wet, and it was the lightning coming down and the thunders and everything. That was just a crazy experience, man. And I could never have gotten this experience if I was there with a climbing partner or anything, because they would have left long ago, right? We would have just simply gone back to the car and left the place. And this way I got this amazing experience. And I think, as I remember, actually the thunderstorm only lasted for, as it usually is with these summer thunderstorms, it only lasted for half an hour, maybe 40 minutes or something. Then everything was wet, obviously. But still, the crux moves of one of my projects wasn't wet. And it was a lot cooler then. And I could actually get back on the rock. Yeah, I got back on the rock and got still a good training session in. And I had this little thunderstorm experience. And all in all, that took me, I don't know, for sure 5 hours or something I spent in the woods there. So could I have done that with a climbing partner? I doubt it, yeah. Maybe with a super close friend or something, I don't know, or with my partner or something, which I didn't have back then. So yeah, this is just one anecdote where being alone in the wild and just enjoying this aspect of the sport, the loneliness, can be amazing. Yeah. Chili Jet says, for me, I do bouldering because in Ireland there is only one sport crag, the rest is trad. Okay, and there is bouldering in Ireland? Pete figured out a different sequence using hand jams. He said the rest was impossible for him. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that the crack climber tried the route, man. Damn, the honey milk is already empty. I think this is a call to bringing the stream to an end today. I think we almost talked about climbing exclusively today. Kind of a different stream compared to the last ones where we talked about a lot of different stuff. A lot of David Camacho says, yeah, I mean, the route as a whole has to be hard AF. Absolutely, it probably is. So yeah, guys, I think I have reached the bottom of the chat here. Music Scholar comes up with another one. Imagine sitting at the local crag and out of the woods comes a naked climber with his crash pad. Yeah, this is kind of how it was, man. When I got out, I remember wearing only my bath trousers, my shorties, and having the crash pad on. Everything super wet, of course. I mean, I was super wet. The rest of the stuff was below the rock and everything. Yeah, guys, I think for today we've gone 1 hour and 30 minutes. Was an interesting stream, really climbing focused, I must say. A lot of climbing questions. Understandably, Alex Megos sent, obviously, supposedly, the second 9A of the world. I think 2 days ago the message came in. That was interesting to notice. I didn't even recognize that because I haven't watched any climbing news recently a lot. Oh, now the little one is waking up. Yeah, so that's a main happening, I would say. Was interesting to talk about that. Thanks for all your questions. I think we're gonna bring the stream to an end for today. Don't forget to tune in next time. Yeah, same time, same place. If you can and you haven't so far still, drop a like on the stream. That's always appreciated because then a stream gets ranked a bit higher in the algorithms, as you know, and it can get a bit more attention maybe. And yeah, I would say that's it for the day. Have a good night, and I'll see you soon in the next one, guys. Bye. Boom, 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 ding, ding, ding comes in now. Unfortunately, turned into too late tonight. But have a great evening, Manny and family. Thanks, man. Yeah, you're a bit late to the party, but you can watch it in hindsight. No problem. Bye, guys.